Hey, Broken Arrow, this is City Council Rewind. I am Aaron McCulloch, Director of Communications for the City of Broken Arrow, and this lady needs no introduction, but I will anyway, Mayor Deborah Wimpy.
Thank you, Aaron.
Very nice to have you. Thank you for joining us. Busy Tuesday night, talking about 50 different items that were on the agendas,
Sure.
but two of them really kind of I want to highlight here, and one of them is the Ward 3 vacancy. Do you want to fill in the viewers on what the council decided on Tuesday night?
Yeah, so I'll just back up a little bit. So last year, if people recall, we appointed Councilor Green, and that seat had been vacant about 3 months into the actual term. So obviously it's almost the reverse, right? So we have, at this point, we'll have about 3 months before the election in April of 25. But we learned during then that you shall go through this process, right? You shall appoint, and if you can come to a majority vote, then that's what we need to do.
And the shall because of state law.
Right, state statute. That's exactly right. So we wanted to continue, go through that process again. And it is always so interesting to see how many people actually have a heart and a desire to serve for the city. And so I think we had 9 candidates last night that came in, spoke before council, kind of shared their interest in, their background and the ways they've served in the community or other communities, and the reason for their desire to serve on the council, which is always very interesting. The other great part is you can't take all of them, right? And but you get to see behind the scenes some of these people that maybe you've never met before that you're like, these people need to get more actively involved in our community. So there's some, almost all the candidates were great. So I'm looking forward to if whoever we appoint or don't appoint, reaching out to the rest of them and saying, hey, you need to get involved. Here's some committees. Here's some ways. Sounds like you're passionate about this. Let's get you plugged in here and, maybe look at some point where you can run it at another time. So
that's what I really enjoyed about last night's meeting. You brought it up with one of the people who were interested in this position. He has a real affinity for film.
Yeah.
And I loved how you told him, look, if this works out for you to be the appointee, fantastic. But if not, we really want you to be involved.
Yeah, we're going to get you plugged into our tourism department, and we're going to get you working on getting some grants and get some films brought to Broken Arrow, because he actually had a film producing company as well, so he understands the industry, which would be amazing. And we are a film-friendly city, which I think we were the second one in the state to become that designation, and he wasn't aware of that. So he was like, I'd like for the city of Broken Arrow to be film-friendly, and I was like, well, good news, we already are. So he was excited to learn that, and I just think it's great to meet new people that have a love for our city and want to get involved.
Yeah, I think it was fantastic that you brought that up to him, because a lot of people don't realize that there are so many other boards, commissions, committees, that sort of thing that the city uses to thrive. And it really opened his eyes, and I think it probably opened up a lot of people's eyes. I mean, we had 9 candidates that showed up last night, and I think we had 9 for the Ward 4 seat.
We did,
that you referenced, about a year and a half ago, whenever that was. That's fantastic. These people want to get involved. There are so many different ways to get involved.
Yeah, and so going forward, so we didn't select anyone last night just because hearing from, this year seems a little, this appointment seems different because, like I said, it's a flip of the last time we appointed someone. They had a whole almost year, 2 years to fulfill the term, and Justin Green will actually have to run in April 25 for that actual seat.
The last 2 years
of that seat. Where Ward 3 will, whoever we appoint, they would come in, if we appoint someone on December 17th at that council meeting, they'll actually have to run if they want to remain on the council, and we would hope they would, because we're investing, as a city, and the staff is investing in them. Would go ahead and run in April of 2025. So, and they know that. We've, had that discussion with them and let them know that we would hope that you'd want to actually run for the seat. So,
is there any one thing, or multiple things for that matter, characteristics that you're looking for in a person to fill this seat?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of pointed out a few things earlier, but just really having a heart for our city and service, having that service driven heart, that volunteering, serving on committees already, really being plugged in our community. I just really look for those people who are really service driven, and just somewhat have an understanding of how government works, what type of government we actually have. We have a city manager form of government, and we're the legislative branch of what happens here in the city. So just those two main things, just having an understanding of how things go, and then, but my top one is really involvement in our city, because we have a very engaged council now. That's not always been that way, but I mean, now we've got clearly 5 very engaged counselors that go to the community events and are actively on multiple lists of committees and boards across the city, the state, and now the nation, because now I'm on the National League of City Boards, so I get to represent our city on a national level. So very involved.
That's right. So just a little bit of homework here. December 17th, that's when the council will either appoint or decide not to appoint. Right. But it's not done at that point, because as you mentioned, state law, there's 60 days. So it's not as if you don't make a decision on December 17th. It's not as if it just falls flat at that point. Right. It goes, your timetable goes through January 10th, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So there would still be some time. And then if an appointment isn't made within those 60 days, then that seat would be filled come April 1st during the general election.
Yeah. And so then on the 17th meeting, we'll basically have had a little bit more time to maybe reach out to some of the candidates that we didn't maybe already know, and just kind of talk to them a little bit more individually, and then have a discussion on the 17th. And at that time, we can hopefully come to a unanimous decision to go ahead and nominate. But there is also that chance that if we can't unanimously vote on one person, that we may decide, well, now we're a month and a half out, so let's just wait till the election. But I don't like that seat being empty. It's not as if, I know some people may say, well, my ward's not being representative. You only have to live in that ward, but we represent everyone in the city. Every council member represents everyone in the city. So it is still being represented, even though there's not someone sitting in there. But I would prefer to have an actual 5th council member in making the decisions with us. So that's my preference.
It'll be a good discussion on December 17th, and that was a great tease. Check it out, 2 weeks, December 17th.
Yeah.
Let's head over to Olive Avenue.
Yeah.
Widening project. This was part of the 2014 bond. We've had some right-of-way acquisition issues that we've had to deal with, and we've gotten that cleared up. Yeah. You all made a decision last night. You want to talk to the folks about what that was?
Looking at the traffic studies and seeing how growth has happened, watching how traffic moves within the intersection as well as that strip of mile, right?
That mile between Kenosha and Albany.
Absolutely. And learning that really the traffic moves so much better now through the intersection, right? So whether we go 3 lanes, 4 lanes, 5 lanes, that's not going to affect things as much. We do have to widen it, and that's what the voters agreed on. The wordage was widen.
That's right.
And so there's obviously, it can cost you $8 million, it can go all the way up to $12 million if you're looking at, a 5-lane road. But is that necessary? Is that being, is that just abundance and not necessary for 20 years? And really, there's not going to be necessarily any more growth out in that area. So I don't know that makes sense to go to 5 lanes, especially if, because of the intersection improvements that we'll have, they actually get addressed with that. So I think, in my opinion, the 3-lane will be just fine. It's already designed. We could, get started right away. But we did have a discussion about just having a town hall with the citizens, just so that they can have a better understanding of, here's the process we've gone through. So since the bond, in 2014, here's what we've ran into, here's the designs we've done, here are the discussions we've had, here's what it looks like financially, and here's where, staff thinks is the best method to go forward. So
one of the things I thought was really interesting last night in the discussion was Director of Engineering and Construction, Charlie Bright. He talked about some data, and it was 10 years worth of data on that mile stretch, and said that in that 10 years, it has consistently been the traffic 12 to 13,000 cars per day. And he said it hasn't increased at all. And that's a pretty good indication there that the street, that the 3 lanes would help hold that capacity, and that once you did the improvements there at Kenosha and Olive, that would help with a lot of the turning movements. One of you also pointed out that the traffic flow going southbound there on Olive isn't it's bad, but when you go northbound, it's not. Because when you go north and you get to Albany and Kenosha, you got 5 lanes at the intersection. And so it's really those turning movements.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really interesting. And because I like the 5 lanes, but I understand now that the capacity really only needs it to be 3 lanes. Get that center turn lane so you still have that traffic flow on either side, but you make those improvements at the intersection, and then that's really going to help as far as the travel movements there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I thought that was a really good discussion last night, and so there'll be some community meetings that we'll hold on those. So be on the lookout for those, social media, the city website, that sort of thing, and we'll let the people attend those and really kind of understand some of the data and see that and understand the decision making that went into that process.
And I think that helps when that goes to our nod to being transparent as possible, right? Just helping the citizens understand how we got where we are in our decision making, right? So I think that'll be great. Anytime we can include citizens in the details, I think is amazing. So, and it helps them deal with it, right? And have a better understanding and know what's to come. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
There were many other items on the agendas, and for more information, you can go to the city website and click on Agendas and Minutes in the Government section. Click on the date range drop-down list and then select the governing body. Find the meeting date of your choice and select the meeting details. All right, folks, that's it for this edition of City Council Rewind. But before we wrap this up, do you have anything else that you want to tell the folks about?
Yeah, so last night, one thing that we did do is congratulate Additive Systems, Inc., ASI. They're on the corner of Fort Worth and Maine and have been there for 40 years. So amazing. We did get to give them a certificate of recognition, just congratulating them and thanking them for investing in our city and having that family-owned generational business in our community. So that's huge.
Drive by it every day, and I didn't realize they've been there for 40 years.
Yeah.
My goodness. And I've got to ask, too. I can see something peeking behind the jacket there, this shirt. Hulkamania?
Hulkamania. I don't know if people know, but Hulk Hogan is going to be in Broken Arrow today at Reese's at 4:30, and then he'll be at B&B Liquor tomorrow. So I guess he's launching a new beer or something. I don't know. But I'm going to go meet him. So I thought, well, I better dress the part, right? So, yeah.
That's fantastic. I had no clue.
And I forgot I was going to be on City Rewind. So it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, shameless plug.
That's right. That's right. So it'll be great to have, a celebrity in our city. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time, and we'll see you around the city where opportunity lives.
Thank you for watching. This is a production of the City of Broken Arrow, the city where opportunity lives.